Okay, so we were doing with to maintain a balance between distribution and allocation of employees. I hope you're clear with that. The next one is to ensure adequate supply of manpower as and when required in case of a surplus. How do I weigh, that is number of employees that I have in my organization to achieve the organization goals or to complete my work. I do have the adequate supply of, or I do have the correct number of employees in the organization. And the last one was to assess the surplus and shortages in workforce. I then and there make, according to my objectives, according to my organization goals, check if I have a surplus or shortage. For instance, in the scenario like how we have corona now, there might be surplus because I don't have any work now. So how do I utilize that workforce, the surplus workforce? And in case if there is overload of work, there might be a shortage of employees. So how do I compensate with the shortage of workforce or the employees? How is it that I take it forward, or how is it that the work that is left over, how do I assign these works to my existing employees, or do I hire more employees accordingly? So these are the various objectives of human resource planning. Clear? Next, let's move with the next. Steps in human resource planning. Now see, from the time an employee enters to an organization till he exits, human resource management has a huge role. The first one is human resource planning. There are 6 steps in human resource planning. First one, analyzing the organizational objectives. Inventory of present human resources, forecasting the demand and supply of human resource, estimating the manpower gaps, formulating the final human resource action plan, monitoring, control and feedback. I'll give you a hint, students, like any topic that we take. Firstly, ensure that you are clear with the meaning of the first topic. For instance, if it was human resource management, it is very important for me to understand what is human resource management. Only then will I be able to relate it to the importance or other process. Similarly, in human resource planning, if I had understood what is human resource planning, then I would be able to do with all the other steps easily. So the first step in human resource planning is analyzing the organizational objectives. I hope it's very clear. Now, if I know what are the objectives of the organization in the various fields such as production, marketing, finance, expansion and sales, it gives me an idea that how many employees are needed in an organization. Are the current employees sufficient? So firstly, I will analyze what is the organizational objectives of the various departments. Okay, then once I know the organizational objectives, the second what I would do is find out the inventory of present human resource. Inventory is stock. So the number of employees at present which I am having in the organization under the various heads, namely the production, marketing, finance, expansion and sales, etc. From the updated, every organization has an updated human resource information storage system in which I have the employee's number, his age, qualification, what is he come into, what is his capacity of performance and potential can be analyzed. So from the updated human resource information storage system which is maintained by the HR, the current number of employees, their capacity, performance and potential can be analyzed. So to fill the various job requirements, the internal sources, that is employees from within the organization, and external sources, how much do I need employees from outside, can be estimated. Clear? Now the third one is forecasting the demand and supply of human resource. I know what these organizational objectives are. I am clear with it. I know what is the current inventory or the stock of human resource that I have in an organization. Now I go to the third step, which is forecasting the demand and supply of human resource. Forecasting is finding out that the human resources required at different age, or the employees required at different positions according to their job profiles are to be estimated. So, the available internal and external sources to fulfill these requirements are also measured. At present, how much is the human resource employees that I have? What is the supply that I require? What are the job profile? I have to estimate that. There should be a proper matching of job description and job specification of one particular work, and the profile of that person should be suitable to it. It should not be that this guy does not have any finance knowledge and I put him into marketing. So, a person having an employee having sound knowledge in finance, I would be able to praise him because he has some knowledge and I can train him accordingly. Similarly, in marketing, he should have a passion for marketing. How is it that he is going to improve his marketing, or how is it going to effectively utilize his skills in marketing? So, based on the skills and the experience of an employee, I would be able to fit him accordingly. Estimating the manpower gaps. Firstly, when I know what are the organizational objectives, when I know what is the current stock that I have, then I try to find out that these many are the employees that I need. So these are the current skill that I have with me. Where do I get the required? There might be an there might be a different skill which I don't have in an organization at present, or it might be that I have that qualification and skill of an employee in a different department, but so I need to estimate what is the gap that is there between the demand and the supply and find out an estimate of it, so that I can get employees from either internally or externally according to the requirements. Clear? The next step is formulating the final human resource action plan. So, once I know that these many are the employees that I have, these many are the employees with the qualification and skills that I require, I make an estimate of it. Then I formulate an action plan. How am I going to get or fill this gap? Is it from the internal sources? Within the organization, am I going to get the employees? Or is it from the external sources, that is outside the organization, that I am going to get it? So, comparison of the human resource plan depends on whether there is deficit or surplus in the organization. Accordingly, the action plan may be finalized either for new recruitment, training, interdepartmental transfer in case of deficit of termination or voluntary retirement schemes, and redeployment of the in case of surplus. So there might be an employee who is retiring. So how do I fill in that gap? There might be a deficit of termination or a voluntary retirement, interdepartmental transfer. Is it possible? Or can I train the current employee himself so that I save cost of recruiting, selecting and then training another employee? Instead of that, if my current employee I have whom I can train and put him into the job profile, that would be even an added. So I hope you understand formulating the human resource action plan. Let me go through all these four once again. First, I need to know what are the organizational objectives. Second, I find out what is the current situation of the present employees, how many do I have. Third, forecasting according to the organizational objectives. Are the current employees that I have sufficient or not? Fourth, estimating manpower gaps, that is a gap between the demand and the supply. How many employees are there? How many more do I need? Is the current employees enough for me? So finding out, estimating what is the manpower gaps. It might be because of the qualification and skills also. So I need to estimate the manpower gaps. And finally, once I know that there is a manpower required, there might be a surplus or a deficit. What is the action plan that I am going to take to formulate the final human resource action plan accordingly? in which I see that accordingly to the plan, it may be finalized either for new recruitment, training, interdepartmental transfer in case of termination or voluntary retirement of an employee, or redeployment in case of surplus. And finally, we come up with the last step, which is to monitor, control and feedback. It mainly involves implementation of the human resource action plan. Till now, we have just formulate. This is the action plan where I'm going to implement the action plan. So, the human resources are allocated according to the requirements. The inventories are updated over a period. This plan is monitored strictly to identify the deficiency and remove it. For instance, there might be a qualification, he or he might be overqualified for a workplace, for his work. So, in case there is a deficiency, I remove it. Comparison between the human resource plan and its actual implementation is done so that I ensure the appropriate action and the availability of required number of employees for various jobs. So, I do a monitoring of whether what am I doing. I am implementing here. I control the human resource and see that everything is in accordance of the organizational objectives, where I have the right number of people at the right place at the right time, and I give feedback what is the changes that I have done and why is it I have done, etc. Am I clear? I hope the human resource planning is very clear with you. Okay. Now, human resource planning is having the right kind of a person, right kind of employee at the right place at the right time for the right job. Once I have understood this, the various steps in human resource planning is, first, I need to find out what is the organizational objectives. Then, the present human resource or the employees that I have in the organization. Forecasting the demand and supply of human resource. How much is it that I need? Is there a surplus, a deficit? Estimating the manpower gaps. If I am able to fill it within the organization, very good. If not, what do I do? Formulating the final human resource action plan. Till here, I just do a formulation, which is estimation of the human resource or the employees in an organization. And lastly is the monitoring, wherein I implement what I have planned. Implement means they are allocated, the employees are allocated to the requirements and inventories are updated over a period of time. Even human resource are regarded as an inventory, so they are recorded over a period of time, and this plan is strictly monitored to identify. Why should I need to monitor? So that I find out if there are any deficiencies in an employee and remove it accordingly by giving them a proper feedback. Am I clear with all this? So in today's class, what all have we done? What is human resource planning? Why is human resource planning important? And what are the various steps involved in human resource planning? I hope all of you are clear with this. Any doubts, you can put that in your feedbacks. I will answer it in the feedback. Thank you, students. Wish you a good day.